Good morning. This is Chris Allen, a Toronto realtor and author of the book on Toronto real estate. And today, as part of our Toronto Success Series, we have a very special guest, Mrs. Laura Harris. Now, Laura, she has a bit over 33-year career combined with healthcare, hospitality, and overall business experience. Laura originally began her career as a registered nurse. And in a short order, you were the team lead for the neonatal care unit. Now, you also, if that in and of itself wasn't enough, you also created and began the operations of Stadium Hosting Services, which over the past 20 years has become the #1 largest hosting company in Toronto. And since there's always more with Laura, she's also the president of Maguire Model and Talent Services, and is also the owner of Nurse Next Door franchise here in the city of Toronto. Laura, thank you very much for visiting us today and inviting us into your home for this interview.
Thank you.
Now, when was it that you kind of realized that you were cut from a different cloth, that you weren't just going to be filling a role as in a job, and that you were an entrepreneur?
Probably at about the age of 17 or 18 when I was multitasking. I went to college and then went on to university in nursing, but at the time I was working at what was Exhibition Stadium as a hostess, but I had started at the bottom as in the concession stand, then delivering the food to the suites, and then in one of the suites. And then at that point, as I was going through school, I was working as a hostess, but also I went out and I sort of introduced myself to the other suite holders at Exhibition Stadium and said, I can offer hostessing service since I'm on site. I recognized the need for sort of consistency, continuity there, and having somebody on site that's accountable so that the hostesses were not coming in at different times and late. And I actually started at that point getting one client at a time in the hostessing. But I was still going to school and upgrading from college to a degree program. I actually started the master's program in nursing as well. And working at time was North York General in neonatal intensive care. Also taking the neonatal intensive care course to specialize in the area. So always the multitasking, all the different balls in the air, and realizing that it wasn't just sort of one thing, but opening up sort of the basket to see where am I going to go and what's the best fit, and just throwing everything in there and giving 100% of everything you can do and seeing where it goes.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't have a clear path, it's only going to be this. I actually had plan A and plan B. The nursing and then the hostessing. When there was talk of the Sky Dome opening in 1989, I put in the proposal for hostessing there and basically started from there as well, from the experience at Exhibition Stadium. But at that time, then I left nursing because it was a full-time commitment with the stadium hostessing. But I was sort of the first person that had a hostessing company that again recognized the need to match the right hostess to the right client at the Rogers Centre. I've taken that and gone further with what I'm doing now with Nurse Next Door. It's all about the personal touch and the client-patient caregiver match, and matching the right caregiver with the client. And the same philosophy, and taking the same lessons, life lessons all the way through, but you just keep reapplying it to different areas as you go along. So there's, even if you make a mistake, it's always a good mistake because you've learned something from it you can apply later in whatever business or industry you're doing, especially customer service.
Now, it sounds like, because you have had experience in various different avenues, would you agree that the path to success is seldom, if ever, a straight line? You're always adjusting and making course corrections as you go?
Absolutely. And it's never on the time frame with the same objectives you plan. It's never that easy. So you have to be flexible. And, you have to have other things too, and as I always say, the plan B, because sometimes your main goal, you may not be making money right away, so where are you going to make the money? So you need to have, whether it's a good education, a job training, or something else that you fall back on, that gives you the opportunity that you're supporting yourself and you can afford to take other courses in areas that you want to pursue. But you can't just jump into everything and just assume it's going to...
You can just work right off the hop.
No.
Now, obviously, you've been a nurse for very many years, and now you own your own healthcare business. I feel that there must be some passion to help others. Do you think that having a passion for what you're doing is almost a prerequisite for success?
I think it's a must. I think if you're going to be successful, you want to be there and you want to have a goal. When I went into Nurse Next Door, when I looked at the franchise and buying it, what I wanted to do, and I know their ideas are grandiose, but I'm looking at raising the bar on home care in Toronto. And I see a need for a better personal connection and touch with the caregiver, with the client. I see a need that when you go into the client's home, there's nothing more personal of a space, and that person that comes in, whether it's every day or 3 times a week with that caregiver, it's got to be an important match. We guarantee the caregiver match. If you're not happy with the caregiver, then we put somebody else in. And that's been my philosophy in the customer service right from the beginning, whether it's with the suites or with anybody we're sending to product launches or promotional events. It's got to be a match that we try to get it right every time, but you don't. But when you don't, you look at why didn't you and what can we do about it. But as long as we keep trying, so you need to have that passion that you're always working on. What did we not do perfect this time, and how can we do it better?
Okay.
And not to mention the match, you got to have a passion, because sometimes when you start out, there are a lot of long hours, and again, it's not financial necessarily feasible for you. So it's your own time, your own hard work that you need the passion for that.
And almost without the passion, you're probably not going to make it to the end, because if you don't really have something, a fire burning inside of you, for lack of a better term, it's very easy to quit when the going gets tough.
Absolutely, and you have to ask yourself, why are you doing it?
Now, what would you say is one of the largest challenges that you've had to overcome in your path to being a successful entrepreneur?
Probably when I will go and do a sales call and see a client, I have a lot more passion than they do. So I'm coming at it, and they're just sitting there, and they look back and they say, wow, I've never seen it that way. And then it gets the wheels turning, and then usually, if you're passionate about it, then, when you're talking and you're selling it, it starts to rub off on the person. But sometimes they're just in there for, they've got 5 minutes for a meeting, and they want this, this, and this.
Yes.
And you're trying to sort of engage the whole, with home care, what we're about and how we do it. We're not task-oriented. We build relationships and that. And sometimes you just say, okay, get to the price, get to this, get to that. But the problem with that is then they're not getting what you're about, and you're, if you want to get your whole story out there. So that's always the challenge too.
Now, with stadium hosting, you've been doing that for a bit over 33 years now. How do you maintain your enthusiasm to kind of keep the bar high and keep that quality of service what it is?
Well, I guess because of the Blue Jays. So that's an easy question. The Blue Jays are always exciting. They're our main, cup of tea there, that, when the excitement is up for the Jays, everybody's excited. At the beginning of the season in April, everybody's sort of rested again, and they're really ready to be back again. So I've actually got it easy, because a lot depends on the team. It's such an exciting sport in Toronto. This is a great year for us too. So it's easy because we depend on that. But we're always changing our staff as well. We're always looking to improve or add. We're always trying to look at what the trends out there are, what the different type of, the best hostesses, or the same with nursing, the best caregivers. You look at if dementia and caregiving is sort of the majority of the population of clients that are out there now, then we look for putting our staff through dementia training. So it's the same whether it's hostessing. You're looking at sort of what clients are coming in and trying to fit the right fit with the hostess there too. So you're always changing. It's never the same.
It sounds like one of the things that Nurse Next Door does differently that has added to your success is that there's a very personal touch. Whereas some other firms, as I observe, they may just assign, someone as though they're assigning a number to a client, but there's no real underlying thread of commonality between the two. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We are not task-oriented, and that's unfortunately what's out there in the market. We prefer to be relationship building and going in and spending the time with the client, playing checkers or chess with them. And walking up to somewhere like Starbucks for a cup of coffee or tea, that's, when you get a client dressed in the morning, they might say, why do I need to take a shower every day, or why do I need to do this if they're not going anywhere? So let's go somewhere. Okay. Let's go up to the street and have a cup of coffee or tea there.
Okay.
And let's go to the community center, or let's go sit outside in the park. But a lot of times it's a go and just following through, and it's more about building a relationship. So we try to do consistency and continuity, so that we can take the relationship one step further, where they actually become part of the family, or part of the team.
Okay. You stole my thunder a little bit with the building relationships. That was actually one of my next questions, is that it's often said that building relationships is the key to business success. And I was going to ask what your philosophy is with respect to building those relationships, but it sounds like, you've already nailed that, and it's very important that the relationship comes first, then the business comes after.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you agree that it's true that, generally speaking, people will not do business with people that they do not like? So it's important to really, connect and be doing a quality service for that individual.
I agree, and if you have a relationship, or you're building a relationship, you really get to know your client better. So then you can actually do a better caregiver match, because you understand, their background. It's very diverse backgrounds and languages, especially in Toronto now, so you need to know as much information. So we do a very comprehensive home assessment, a caring consult, which is free of charge for all our clients. But we actually go there and spend the time, whether they turn out to be a client or not, but we do the caring consult to spend the time to find out what they like, what they dislike, everything from meals and activities and different things, so we can match the caregiver to that. We just picked up a client yesterday, and what we did was we matched a great caregiver, because the client just came in from Winnipeg.
Oh, okay.
And a very lovely gentleman that his hobbies were chess. So we looked at our caregivers to see, first of all, who could play chess, which is not as easy to find anymore.
No doubt.
But we found and they wanted a male caregiver. We found a great gentleman that very smart, plays chess and all kinds of very detailed different games and things, but he just moved from Winnipeg to Toronto.
Yes.
So automatically the first day it was a hit when we introduced the caregiver with the client, because they talked about Winnipeg, they talked about what the weather in Winnipeg is like right now.
Cold.
Yeah.
Always cold.
And they talked about that they, some games they could play would be chess when, they had some downtime and different things that were going on. But we actually try to look for the little things, and often it's the little things that are overlooked. So just slowing down and taking your time and getting an opportunity and asking the questions. You'll get some answers, and you'll have a better chance of matching it. But it's just taking the time to do it, I think.
Oh, fantastic. Now, what one piece of advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Perhaps someone who's thinking of moving forward to start a business and isn't too sure perhaps which direction they should go.
Embrace that you're in Canada and you can. I mean, we're so fortunate here that, we have opportunities to do anything and start anything and go anywhere, so that's fabulous. But I would also say have a plan B, that you stayed in school, or you did some training, or you've got some work experience, so you've got something to fall back on. But that gives you the confidence to really put yourself out there when you want to try something new and try something. If you have this vision and you have the passion, then it's not going to come right away. But if you've got a plan B to fall back on, you have a little more confidence, because I can throw myself out there. I'm really going to give this a year or 6 months or 2 years and invest my time, my energy, which it's mostly your time and energy at the beginning. But you're going to do that, and then if it doesn't go well, then you know, okay, it's not the end of the world. Maybe it just wasn't the right timing at the time. So you go back to plan B, and then you can rethink, is there something else out there? Is there a better way of doing it? Why didn't it work? But you've got time to think about it.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Very good. Now, I had recently read an article in Business Week, and it was emphasizing the role of women in leadership. And I was wondering if you could kind of share your thoughts on where you see women in leadership now, and perhaps where things might go in the future, in your opinion.
I think it's, again, we're in Canada, so we're so fortunate. So, the sky's the limit. And I think women are taking leadership roles. There was more women entrepreneurs than there were 20 years ago. And certainly the ones that are out there are certainly being recognized, which is great. Hopefully women can support other women. which I think men do very well
Mm-hmm.
now in the business world. So if women are supporting the other women in the business world, that's going to help. And I'd like to see that a stronger bond.
Okay.
And I think that you will see there's more flexibility in the workplace too,
Okay.
whether it's home offices and things, that women can juggle home care with child care and in the workplace too. So I think there's a lot of provisions out there now that weren't there 20 years ago.
Okay.
So I don't think we have any excuses that we can't do it. You know, we've got great opportunities at our door.
Okay. And one last question
No
for
problem.
you. Now, obviously, with everything that you're doing, you're building a legacy for yourself and your family, of course. When you get to the end game and you're finished everything, what does that legacy look like to you?
You know what? I'd like just to be a really good example for my children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to show them that you get out there, you try things, and if there's something you're interested in, don't be afraid to try it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to think I made a difference. Nurse Next Door especially, I really want to see home care. I want to see seniors living in their homes longer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they want to do, but they can't do it without a little bit of help. And that's what I think, you know, I got into Nurse Next Door was to, you know, make a difference and allow and provide the opportunities for the patients and the clients and the seniors to be out there and live in their homes longer. And that's what I really like to see. If you can change their lives and make their lives happier, then I've made a difference and I've done it.
I think that's brilliant, because the fear, both from an entrepreneur, you know, starting, that might hold them back, as well as the fear for a senior maybe not being able to care for themselves in their home. It's great if you know, you can be an example and help both of those persons. So that's brilliant.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Laura, for taking the time for us. We appreciate your interview for the Toronto Success Series, and I
Thank you.
look forward to chatting again and following as Nurse Next Door builds and expands throughout the Toronto and the GTA area.
Great. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.